Hey folks, welcome to Gaming Garbage. So if you're on Twitch, I got to do this again because my controller shut off and I didn't see it, and so I got to try this again. Audio sounding pretty good. So yeah, this is the Summer Game Fest 2023. It was a couple hours, and man, there was quite a few in here. Overall, it was definitely pretty good. But if you just want a quick little rating on kind of how it was, or if it's worth your time, I give it a C minus. And I give it a C minus because I feel like that it wasn't necessarily super great, and we'll get into some of those aspects. But hey, welcome to the channel where we do a lot of game reviews and stuff. Well, not a lot, I guess, but earlier we did. But anyway, we look at games and we also talk about the industry, like showcases, and then we also just stream for fun here. And so yeah, there's plenty on the channel. Go ahead and check it out. There's tons of playlists to kind of help organize it a little better. But yeah, here we're going to get into the showcase. And this has definitely become one of the bigger showcases. This is definitely, I think, top dog. We're still going to have companies that are going to be working on trying to have their own, showcasing some different stuff, but we got a lot more hard dates. We had over 40 different games that were shown. We're not going to have all of them here, just a lot of the highlights, which there's still quite a few. But yeah, honestly, this was a huge showcase. And then we're going to be chatting about a couple others at the end. If you click off, hey, that's totally okay, I understand. But yeah, get ready for probably an hour and a half on this one. This is going to be a long video. So the two other showcases we're going to do at the end is the Day of the Devs. There's a few games on that one. And then another showcase of Devolver Direct. And that was kind of just more of a hilarious thing to go through. But yeah, there was one good game on that one. So anyway, let's get into it. So first we started off with Prince of Persia, Lost Crown. And this had a date of January 18th, 2024 for PlayStation and Xbox. And honestly, it's a kind of a 2.5D side-scroller / platformer. And it actually looked pretty good. The resolution was there. There was a really good frame rate. There was a kind of a level with like a boss at the end. There was some different attacks and combos. There's also some kind of like elemental damage there. And this did look pretty good. This was a good game to start with. But I was kind of surprised we still haven't seen really any other new news on Prince of Persia Remaster. And I'm just kind of wondering, it's like, did the game just disappear? Is it... Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what to think about this. And, yeah, it makes me curious exactly on what's going on. I don't even know if the game's really going to come out. Or it might be kind of like Beyond Good and Evil 2, where it just comes out, quote, forever. And yeah, we may just never see it. But Prince of Persia Lost Crown actually looked fairly good. Is it going to be a game buster? No. But a game that could probably fill your time before some other games come out in 2024? Probably. And probably be worth at least looking at. Next, we had Mortal Kombat 1 Reboot. We got a hard date for September 19th, 2023. And we also had an extended trailer for this one. And so this one actually looked really, really good. Visually, it looks great. If you're into Street Fighter and Tekken and Injustice, man, this is totally right up your alley, of course. Mortal Kombat has been going forever. This is the 12th iteration, the 12th game that they've had for Mortal Kombat. It's a series that's been running forever. And it looked really good. They also had something new called cameos, where they're able to bring a lot of the old characters into the fight. And so, with a particular button and a direction on the joystick, you're able to kind of call in your cameo that you have with you to aid you in the fight, and they just bleed right into a combo move. And so there's a really good flow there, and it helps get you extra damage, and is kind of fun too. They have a story mode along with, of course, the classic arena. And they'll have two rosters, since they'll have one for the main characters, which is what you'll play. And then they'll also have a second separate roster of available cameos for the game. Some cameos can be played as the actual fighter, and some are just going to stay as cameos themselves, so you won't be able to play them. But overall, Mortal Kombat 1 honestly looked really good. We also had a dev come out and explain some of the gameplay, some of the mechanics in the game, and it really got a lot of people hyped up for the game. You could hear it in the audience. Next, we had Path of the Exile 2. So this is a free-to-play game. It's very much like a Diablo type of style of view, so it's kind of top-down or topographical view at 2.5D. And then, yeah, if it looked all right for what it was. We have Path of the Exile. The first one has been out for quite some time, so we haven't had a second iteration in quite a long time. But yeah, it looked okay. If you need an alternative to Diablo or these other type of style of games like World of Warcraft, excuse me, or StarCraft, something like that. This one is free. You can pick it up. I'm sure it's going to be monetized to death, but hey, it's at least something to play if you kind of like that kind of genre. Next, we got to see Dead by Daylight, and Nicolas Cage walked out onto the stage. This was kind of cool. So he actually got to come out, and they're going to be adding Nicolas Cage's character into Dead by Daylight as a pack. You'll be able to purchase him. All of the voice acting is done by Nicolas Cage, and honestly, it was pretty fun. You could tell Nicolas Cage had fun with it. He said he enjoyed doing it, and it's a new space to kind of get into and get in with a whole new audience since he's been doing movies and shows forever. And honestly, yeah, he said he honestly liked it, and he'll probably be getting and staying in the gaming space. He'll be probably looking for other opportunities to actually do this. So this will be out either into June or July. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, his Nicolas Cage for Dead by Daylight is going to be available pretty shortly. Let's see. Next we had The Witcher, the TV show, which is a bum. I would have rather had something for the next Witcher game. But nope. We had the TV show, Season 3. Henry Cavill's going to be back in it. Congratulations to him as he got shafted, in my opinion, by the DC Universe. But, hey, they're rebuilding it, and I hope they do a wonderful job. But I just kind of felt bad for Henry Cavill. So luckily, he was able to get his role in The Witcher back. And, yeah, Season 3 is coming out. So, yay. A TV show in another gaming showcase. And PlayStation did this too with Gran Turismo toward the end. It's like, man, really? Quit doing that. Next, we had Witchfire, which looked interesting. It's kind of a Wild West. You're kind of an old school witch hunter. And first person, some gunplay mechanics of, single shot rifles or like repeaters and then revolvers and stuff. And so that gives you kind of the base layout right there. They're going to have early access for the game in September 2023. And we're starting to see more of this where there's more easy access or early access. And I just wonder if this is a cheaper way for gaming companies to actually continue to test their game before it's ready, to kind of refine it and work out the bugs, just like they did for Grounded. That was a big one. Boulder Gate 3 has been in early access too for like 3 years. And so I'm kind of not a fan of this trend so far, because we really just want the game to come out in the state that it needs to be in and be ready. But from a company standpoint, the quality tester pays you to test the game, to give feedback on it, to share bugs and that kind of thing, and what else should be implemented as features and mechanics into the game. And then you get all of that information for free. And then you can keep it in early access for another year, 2 years, even 3 years. But then it's like, okay, does the game ever actually come out? And it's getting to a point where this is actually becoming pretty common, this early access. And it kind of worries me is that just the industry has taken the easy way out of just keeping a game suspended in beta and not actually publishing it. It is an easy way to get the game. It's cheaper, and when it does come out in full access, that's great. But like, there's a game I bought a couple of years ago called Atlas, and I think it has a lot of potential there. But again, it's, as far as I know, it's still just in early early access, kind of beta, and like games just seem to kind of get stuck there. You know what I mean? So yeah, I wish they would quit doing that too. It's like have a hard date, have the staff that you need, don't have multiple games going, do it like a From Software or like a Motive type of thing, where you're just focusing on one game and you're pushing it out. So that would be, yeah, that'd be great to see. Next, we got to see Crossfire Sierra Squad, which was VR. Enough said. We saw a little bit of gameplay. We saw a lot of cinematic trailer, or a live trailer with real actors and stuff. And you know, it's a first-person shooter. It can also be co-op in VR. So there you have it. Next, we saw Remnant 2. So Remnant 1 didn't sell very well. This was a 4-player co-op squad kind of environment, kind of like Back 4 Blood. It reminded me a lot of that. Third person over the shoulder, and each character has different abilities and that kind of thing. And this will be coming out July 25th of this year. And yeah, Remnant 1 wasn't received very well. Some people really liked it, and other people just not as much. So Remnant 2 hopefully has some improvements, some bigger story, and less bugs and glitches, and something that's kind of a little more enticing for us folks. Let's see. Next, yeah, this sucked. Next, we had a Samsung ad. I'm not kidding. We had a Samsung ad for a gaming monitor, which was 49 inches, 240 hertz for a frame rate, and they didn't have a price tag, of course. There's no way I'd put a price tag up there, because people would be like, "Yep, I'm not buying that." I'm sure it's over $2,000. I got no doubt in my mind. And then coupled with that, there were other ads too, sprinkled out through the entire showcase. So there were ads for DoorDash and Taco Bell. And then there were also ads for more Samsung products like Game Hub, which is a service you can have through your smart TV. Don't even need a console. You can just stream stuff right to your game, or right to your TV. And yeah, how frustrating is that? So again, it was pretty imperfect. But yeah, we saw these just ads over and over and over again, and it honestly got pretty old. But yeah, oh well, that's just how it is. And if you watched it on YouTube, which probably most people did, YouTube basically had 2 ads for the entire flippin' showcase of 2 hours: DoorDash and NerdWallet. So yeah, I don't like DoorDash now. I don't want NerdWallet. I'm not a fan. They just shoved that down your throat so hard. Just got an aversion now and PTSD. So yeah, just, man, riddled with ads. Next, we actually got to see a game which was great, which was Sonic Superstars. So this is coming out fall of 2023. Very nostalgic. Again, 2D kind of side-scroller platformer. Honestly looked pretty good. The resolutions were definitely beefed up along with the frame rate. You could certainly tell. And how they kind of showed it off was like the original versus what they made. And you could just absolutely tell the fidelity and quality was just really beefed up. You're able to play as 4 separate characters that we all know and love, like Tails and Knuckles. And yeah, you just get to relive the nostalgia. And it's great too, probably for people first coming into the space. And so yeah, that'll be coming out in the fall of this year. We also had Star Rail. This is also coming out fall of 2023, just going to be on PS5. And Star Rail, I really have no idea what's going on. So, the story didn't really make a lot of sense, even though it was technically in English, I think. And I'm just confused. A bunch of fancy colors and, you know, a 14-year-old that's a 14-year-old gal that's underdressed. You know, hence the Japanese games love to do that. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what was going on. It didn't make sense. It seemed like there was an operator in the game, and then someone out in the field kind of doing stuff or something with code. I don't even know. I mean, take a look at the trailer, see if you can help me decipher what is going on there. I honestly have no idea. And yeah, I just lost. I don't even know what to say about it. But it's coming out for PS5 in fall of 2023. Next, we got Lies of P. So this one we haven't heard about for a while. We were able to get some concept art. We were able to get a little bit of a dev kind of showcase on their own channel a while ago. And yeah, they actually showed some, which was great. And also, a demo is released same day. So if you guys are interested or curious, you can download the game yourself for PlayStation or on Xbox and give it a test run. Also, top right corner, if you don't have time for that and you just kind of want to hear my thoughts on it and see some of the gameplay, I downloaded the demo and tested it out myself. So we have an initial look at Lies of P, and you can go ahead and check that out. Lies of P has a hard date of September 19th, 2023. So don't have to wait too long. Next, we saw Sandland. This doesn't have a date. This is made by Bandai Namco, and this is an open world where there's humans and monsters and creatures with vehicles. So we didn't get a ton of the story, but we got to see kind of what the world is like, what some of the mechanics are, and it looks interesting. There's buggies all the way to tanks, and kind of everything in between. So I'm kind of curious about this game. I'm going to be keeping my eye on it personally, and yeah, we'll have to see. Next was Throne and Liberty. This did not have a date either, at least that I saw. This is made by NC Soft, which is a South Korean game developer. They've been around for a long time, since like early 2000s. And this game I got really excited for. This is like my top 2 out of the entire showcase, and I'll explain why. So they showed off a lot of the world, and we're talking big. We're talking like Skyrim, Fallout 4, maybe kind of like Far Cry size type of open world. So pretty big. There's different cities, there's different areas, there's ports, there's kind of, forest and mountainous areas in the game. Maybe even some seafaring, which would be sweet. And the game is swords, shields, and magic. So those are kind of the mechanics in the game for combat. It is all third person. But you can also play with other people, it looked like, which is great. You can have your own little squad of folks and kind of play with others in the gaming space. You can also turn into other creatures, whether you want help getting from point A to point B, like turning into an eagle and flying over, or helping you in combat. So, honestly, I was pretty excited for this game. It really reminded me a lot of like Dragon Age kind of style. And I'm excited for this. They're also looking for testers right now. I already signed up. You can sign up too at playthroneandliberty.com. And it's pretty easy. I mean, I did it in less than 5 minutes, which is really, really fast for me, folks, let me tell you. Old man Todd couldn't hear. So yeah, that one looked great. Next was Warhaven. So this is fall of 2023. This will be a free-to-play game. This is only going to be on Steam, unfortunately. But for you PC folks out there, it was basically a For Honor copy. And I went back and watched the trailer a couple of times, and you really see that the combat engagements are actually pretty small. It looks like 16 people max. Looks like they're all actual players. At least we would hope so, but we know bots riddle pretty much every game out there on the servers. But yeah, it didn't necessarily feel exciting. It looked good. It looked fun, maybe like Chivalry 2, but again, Chivalry 2 is already out, it's already going to be cheaper, and Warhaven didn't necessarily seem like they're going to bring anything new to the table. Let's see, Dying Light is going to be getting an update and a new season. This is Dying Light 2, folks. Does anyone even care anymore? I don't. I'm just waiting for the game to get cheap enough so I can actually buy it, which I think I did. I think it's sitting in my review stack. But yeah, I don't know. Just about an update about a game that's already been out for quite a while. And then we got another ad for Samsung. Wonderful. After that, Alan Wake 2. So this has a hard date of October 17th, 2023. And I gotta say, it looked pretty good. There's going to be 2 characters. The 2 characters are going to be able to kind of engage with the same story, and the stories are going to be connected. But, one, you'll play Alan Wake, and another one, you're going to be playing a FBI investigator with her partner, and you'll be kind of figuring out the story together. The lighting, the environment, the sounds, oh my word. If you're into horror, this is probably going to be a top-tier game for you for this year. And honestly looked pretty good. I did check, too, on the Xbox store. They have the original Alan Wake for 360 on sale right now for like $7. So if you kind of want to play it and catch up on the story before Alan Wake 2 comes out, you can go ahead and buy it cheap right now. Let's see. Next was Space Marine 2. This was my number 2, folks. I was so excited. So yeah, Thrones and Liberty. And then Space Marine 2. So I played Space Marine 1. I really enjoyed it. If you don't know, it's in the Warhammer 4000K universe, just like Darktide or just like Bolt Gun. Those have come out fairly recently. And then there's been some other ones too, like that are kind of like 2.5D top ground camera angle, like in Inquisitor and who's the other one? Invictus or something. But anyway, there's been a few games that have been coming out, but this one I've been really waiting for. So we got to see a trailer, I think, earlier in the year or even last year in the fall time, and we finally get a much broader view of what the trailer is, an extended trailer, and man, does it look wonderful. I mean, if you think of, like, if you're old school like me, think of, like, 99 Nights or, like, Legend of Zelda Hyrule Warriors. Think of something like that kind of gameplay. And again, you're going to be following a story. And I was like, whooping in the freaking at work. It made me look like a fool a little bit in front of the break room. But I got so excited when I saw that there were 3 people standing next to each other against a horde that was coming. And that means freaking co-op, baby. You can run the co-op through the whole campaign, it looks like, and have your buddies right next to you. If you have buddies. Hopefully, you do. If you don't, come on down. Lion and I'm sure we would enjoy playing with some other people, figuring out some games we could play. We play quite a wide variety, but we love co-op games, and we love playing with other people. So, we do have schedules, but yeah, if we could play with some of you guys, that would be sweet. But yeah, Space Marine 2 looks so good. This is going to be winter of 2023, so right at the end of the year. Winter technically starts in December, so that's kind of maybe just before Christmas. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But yeah, horde modes, all mission based, and then they even showed some missions in space. So yeah, I am truly excited for this. Snowfall 2024. This was an indie game, side scroller. You're kind of a king, and you get to decide how you deal with your people. And then they also showed like an invasion, and how you've treated people is going to affect the game. And it works on telling a story, kind of through the eyes of a king. So that looked kind of interesting. Take a moment to look at the trailer, and yeah, see what you think about it. Next was Toxic Commando 2024. So if you're thinking of Back for Blood, it's basically, I mean, that's down to the T probably of what it is. Toxic Commando looks more open world. Left 4 Dead, Back for Blood, they kind of like follow a story, right? And from A to B with a horde mode at the end. But yeah, this looked a lot more open world. Graphically, it looked pretty good. Again, the gunplay looked fun. And yeah, this was honestly looking pretty fun. So kind of excited for that. Again, I don't think it would be fun by yourself. With other people, it'd probably be great, and if you're really into zombies. But there's vehicles too. So, Back for Blood with vehicles and dirt and mud mechanics. So they showed something very quickly where it looked like the tire was trying to get through the mud. And so, yeah, if you took Back for Blood and added Mud Runner, those would kind of be the mechanics of the game. That's what they were implying. So again, Toxic Commando, that's going to be coming out in 2024. Next, we had Baldur's Gate 3. This, again, has been early access for 3 years. It's finally going to have full access later this year, which will be great because, yeah, it's been in early access forever. But yeah, for those of you that have already been into it, enjoying stuff, Baldur's Gate 3 is finally going to have a full release. So, personally, I haven't played any. I've heard they're wonderful and great. Maybe I'll dig into them eventually. But yeah, there's just so many games out there, I can't get to them all. Next was Spider-Man 2. So we already saw this in the PlayStation Showcase. They didn't really show much. They had one of the devs come up and chat, which was nice. We got to see some... Boy, ooh, did they? Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But yeah, nothing overly new with Spider-Man 2, except we have an official hard date now of October 25th. October 20th, 2023. And, yeah, they did have someone come out and chat, because I remember someone saying that they were very confident about that date. So things sound to be going very well for Spider-Man 2, and you can expect to pick it up on October 20th. Okay, moving to the next page. Okay, so I got super excited about this game. Because it's just over the top, and it's just my style of over the top. Pal World. So this will be coming out. They don't have an official date. Early access is going to start January 2024, and I'm probably going to pick this game up for early access. Because they show... but this is, in my opinion, this is one of... Pal Worlds is one of the biggest ripoffs of other franchise. And I'll explain why in just a minute. So you're watching the showcase. There's some creatures around and stuff, and you're like, "Oh wait, that looks like a Pokemon." And then it's like, "Oh, there's another Pokemon," and then you see, I think it was Electrobuzz. He comes out, and the camera is kind of downshifted a little bit, where you're looking up at his face, and he pulls out this freaking minigun and just. I am not kidding, folks. This is basically Pokemon with guns. It showed cheap with M2 Modus 50 cals, and I mean, unfreaking real. I am actually quite excited for this ripoff. And again, this is going to be open world. Your character looked like Sora from Kingdom Hearts. It had kind of Super Smash style music during the showcase. And then, yeah, it's Pokemon with guns. I mean, what is not to be excited about that, folks? Pokemon with guns. I mean, they just totally made it better, in my opinion, and it's way better than the Pokemon Company's idea of integrating NFTs into their Pokemon. So, yeah, Pokemon with guns. Give it to me all day. I'll play it. Next, we got to see Lord of the Rings Return to Moria. This is fall of 2023. They actually had a voiceover of the actual actor that played Gimli in the Lord of the Rings, so I don't know if that's kind of their intention or whatever, or kind of what integration we'll have. But Return to Moria kind of looked like a galactic, I think it's called Galactic Rock, except it's third person, but you can mine. You're kind of re-exploring the mines of Moria. I'm sure there's enemies. You're also able to, what looks like, build a base, and also harvest resources to continue to build and craft things in your game. It did look like there was also some co-op, or where people can kind of join your game kind of a deal. Um, the style of the art didn't really look super great. So yeah, maybe one of those kind of mid-tier games. Is it going to be better than Gollum? I absolutely think so. Yeah, I think it's going to be wonderful compared to Gollum. So yeah, that'll be Return to Moria, fall of 2023. Next, we had Banishers, which is going to be the end of 2023. Banishers was a game that it's where you kind of like banish souls of the dead, and you get to make some decisions in the game that kind of reflect the outcome at the end. So visually, looked really good. Really good resolutions, very lifelike. Somewhat of an open world maybe, or semi-open world environment, but very story-driven. So you're going to have to go to the cabin. You're going to have to go through this cave. So yeah, kind of like a God of War, probably, style of gameplay. But yeah, visually it looked really good. So yeah, that's Banishers, end of 2023. The Immortals of Avium. We have a hard date now of July 20th, 2023. Again, it wasn't necessarily anything they hadn't showed before. They actually had the main protagonist actor come out and talk about the game a little bit. Where you're going to have 3 different forms of magic. You're going to be playing a story of trying to save the world and making sure that the good guys control magic and keeping it away from the bad guys. And pretty cinematic too. Some of the scenes that they showed, some of the missions are going to be quite kind of cinematic. Kind of like some of the old Battlefields and Call of Duties. You're like, whoa, that's kind of cool. So it does look pretty good. Again, I don't think it necessarily brings anything different to the table than what's already been made. And it looks like just a single player game. Let's see, last we had at the end of the showcase was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So this is a new episode through this remake that they're doing, and this is going to be early 2024. It's also going to be on 2 discs. So I really like this move so far with what we know, because we have always talked about, some of us anyway, have always talked about how we do not get the full game on the disc. Now, I do want to make a correction. Earlier, when I was talking about this in some earlier gaming news segments earlier this year, I was talking about how, I think it was Jedi Survivor, how you would need 3 discs for Jedi Survivor because a Blu-ray can only hold 50 gigs. Well, we've had a bump in technology that I didn't know about until yesterday, and they call them Ultra HD Blu-ray discs, and they can hold up to 100 gigs per disc, probably 99.7, something like that. But that's huge. 100 gigs on a Blu-ray disc. That is quite impressive. You do have to have a different Blu-ray player. Kind of like, DVD to Blu-ray. You couldn't use the same player, so you don't have to buy a new one. So they do cost more. And that makes me think, too, though, that the Blu-ray player in the PlayStation 5 is probably better. Because I'm pretty sure the Xbox Series X only plays the Blu-ray discs that are 50 gigs. So it's just a thought I had, actually. But yeah, the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be 2 discs. So that's the potential of a game that's well over 100 gigs. And it's going to be a physical copy, which is great. And you'll probably have the entire game. You'll have all of the files in your possession. Not this cloud gaming stuff, not have to download it and patch it to death. You'll actually have the entire game. And as we've discussed before on this channel, it's really not fair. It's kind of fraud to sell a game where only there's a piece of the game on the actual disc, and the rest of it you have to download through a huge flippin' update to get the rest of the game. And the worst case of this, I think, was Modern Warfare 2 that came out in November last year, because there was like only 200 megabytes on the disc. It was barely anything. And then you had to download another 100 and whatever gigs to actually get the entire game. So I really like the direction of this. It makes me hopeful that we'll be able to own full physical copies of our games again, and I really hope this takes off. So, buy the physical copies, folks. Buy the physical copies. And if any of you that do, make a note, kind of share with other people what you found and what you've discovered. And I'm kind of excited to see what they'll see on that. So, yeah, at 100 gigs a disc now, we can get games that are just under 200 gigs. So that means Jedi Survivor, we can shove the whole thing on there. That means, too, pretty much all of the Call of Duty games, except for Cold War. I know, folks, isn't that crazy? Cold War is over 200 gigs. Look it up. It's like 240 something. Couldn't believe it. But yeah, this is hopeful. This is hopeful for me. I also got to do another correction real quick. The Final Fantasy NFT trading card game. So this is not going to be integrated, as far as we know, with a Final Fantasy game. This is going to be just its own separate trading card game that people can be a part of. And there's other types of NFT trading card games out there too. There's like DC. There's another one that's Marvel. And there was some other ones for other Final Fantasy card games that are based off of previous games. But again, they're separate from the game. They're not in the game, thank goodness. They're just their own separate trading card game. So I wanted to correct myself on that. And so that's what we had for Summer Game Fest. Overall, like I said, I give Summer Game Fest a really high D or a low C, like a C minus. And the reason is there were some good aspects about it. In my opinion, it was better than the Sony showcase. Besides, it was double the length. But the Sony showcase was nice in some aspects, but you could have stripped it down to 20 minutes. And again, this one you probably could have stripped to half an hour or maybe 40 minutes. You didn't need the whole 2 hours to show stuff. So some good things was that there was a lot more gameplay. There wasn't a ton of cinematics. There was just a ton more gameplay to actually show. We had a lot more hard dates for release. We had extended trailers, so that was great. We actually got to see more story. We got to see more mechanics in games and how they play and what they look like, and that's wonderful. More information, the better. There was a good presentation. I mean, things just clicked right along. So the flow was nice for most of it, except for the occasional ad, which was frustrating. Buy the Samsung, blah, 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 whatever, and don't forget DoorDash. Next game, So yeah, usually the presentation was pretty good for the entire showcase, and the flow was nice. And then we had over 40 different games. So, I mean, this was huge. This was a huge showcase, and overall I feel like they did a pretty good job. The things that I didn't like was that there was ads for TV shows. Oh yeah, I gotta mention too, there was also Twisted Metal, the TV show, which didn't have anything to do with Twisted Metal. If you're an old fanboy of Sony like I was, and played on Sony a lot, you know what the Twisted Metals are. And the TV show, again, it's a TV show and a game showcase, doesn't make any sense. And then the ad that they had for the TV show was just really bad. It was Sweet Tooth and Roadkill fighting in a bar with really bad jokes that just did not hit right and shouldn't even have been in there. And then also ads for products, including DoorDash and Taco Bell. I mean, what the frick? Come on, people. This is crazy. We also got to hear about upcoming showcases. So we got to hear a little bit about Ubisoft's showcase. So we're going to have another one. And again, this is kind of a becoming issue with just the saturation of different showcases, because now we're getting to a point where we don't just have E3 anymore. We now just have 7 different showcases we gotta watch. So let's go through the list here. We got Summer Game Fest. We got Activision Blizzard. We got Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. We're also going to have Ubisoft. That's 6. And I'm sure there's other big ones too. So it's like we're getting to a point where we need to watch like 10 hours of stuff online to get through all of the showcases. We're also going to have Starfield Direct. That's going to be coming very, very shortly. And I'm going to be watching that too and doing an analysis on that. So please stay tuned for that one. But yeah, the saturation of showcases, it's just taking away from the quality. They're shoving extra stuff in there, and it's just like, yeah, it's not as good. That is going to be a little frustrating, but unfortunately, I think that trend is here to stay. Also, there was a lot of free-to-play games, a lot of mobile games, TV shows, games we already saw on PlayStation. And again, it's like, PlayStation took the opportunity to show Spider-Man twice, which is fine. Or like Mortal Kombat. But again, it's like we don't want to see the same showcase for a game that we've already seen. And this is going to be this kind of oversaturation problem with showcases. I understand it's a better kind of media push for them and promotion. The more promotion, the better. But man, you're going to dilute the quality of the showcase. And so again, most of this showcase you could cut out, and it would be fine. You could just have some highlights. Again, I think they did some things absolutely better than PlayStation's showcase. And we'll have to see how Starfield Direct is and what Xbox and Bethesda showcases are like. But I mean, we're going to get to a point, folks, where we're going to have 10 showcases every year or every other year. And a lot of the stuff on PlayStations, they didn't have hard dates. They didn't have gameplay trailers. And it's like, this one had both. For most of it. It was nice. But yeah, that's going to be a trend I'm not going to like. Let's see. Oh yeah, another thing that was nice is that they actually had devs come on and talk about the games themselves. So that really brought a type of quality that I really enjoyed. I could really put some trust in what they were saying because they were helping design the game. And they're sticking their neck out for pushing it. Hopefully, the games are going to be good. That's what we're all hoping for, but I'm kind of tired of taking my hopium. What about you guys? So overall, I gave it a low C for Summerfest. It just wasn't that great. So Summerfest is over. If you want to click off and be done, totally fine. I totally understand, but we're going to talk about Day of the Devs. So there's just a few on here that were interesting. Hyper Light Breaker. That one actually is exciting. This is going to be a kind of a... it kind of looked like a Breath of the Wild, honestly. Kind of like an indie version of Breath of the Wild. So you're going to have third person. Light is kind of the theme in the game. You're going to have weapons and combat. You're going to run into enemies. You're going to find bosses. There's going to be some puzzles to work through. And exploration of the landscape. And honestly, take a look at the trailer. It looked pretty good. This is going to be early access in fall of 2023. Then we had Viewfinder, which was an interesting one. That was kind of like a take on The Witness, except you're using a camera to kind of like remold and shape your world. That one was kind of interesting if you're looking just for something a little quieter, or you kind of like those puzzle games. Check out Viewfinder. We also had Mars First Logistics, which this one is only going to be on Steam. But yeah, if you're a Steam guy, you're going to be able to kind of take a look at a certain object you got to get from A to B, and you're helping build a colony on Mars. And you have to construct from scratch your little rover that is going to be able to pick up the object and carry it over to the site to work on building up the colony. So that actually looked pretty interesting. And then another one was a puzzle game called Cocoon. And this is where there's kind of an interesting mechanic with worlds, but you're kind of, if you could think of the worlds as a marble, and if you blip into the marble, you're in a new world, a new environment, you got to explore a little bit and solve some of these puzzles, but you end up finding another marble of a different world within the marble you're in. And you can pick up those marbles and kind of jump back out. That's kind of like multi-dimensional. It's a little hard to explain, but you can jump back out with this world marble and use it to unlock other puzzles that you've come across to explore further in other worlds. So if that kind of makes sense. Take some time to look up a trailer if you're interested. Again, this will kind of be maybe a nice little filler of a game while you're waiting on some other ones. I can't remember, though, if this actually had a release date. So check on that. The next showcase, yeah, this is kind of more for hilarity and humor if you're bored and just killing some time before you go to bed. Devolver Direct. So this showcase was horrible. They had games like Sludge Life 2, which looked like a 1990s game on PC, and I don't even know how to describe it, dude. It was just wild. I don't even know what the point is. Another one was Bleak Sword, which was like a 8-bit kind of Dark Souls type of game style. There's bosses and different types of enemies, and it's all melee combat. Next was also Shadows of the Damned. So this was a PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 game. This is actually getting a remaster. So if you really enjoyed that game, it's getting a remaster, folks. Next, I thought of lying on this one, which is called Baby Steps. And basically, you have to learn how to walk. And you fall down a lot. And it made me think of him because while we were playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint, they have a mechanic in there where, like, if you're going too fast or too straight down, you're actually slipping and falling down the ravines and down the hillsides, and he was kind of doing that all the time. And it just totally rubbed him the wrong way. So yeah, this game is for you, dude. Baby Steps. And then the other one was Humans Fall Flat 2. So that one actually looked pretty good. Very small trailer, no gameplay whatsoever, but just a little sneak peek cinematic trailer of that game. And yeah, there was, during this Devolver Direct showcase, they kind of had a whole story behind this, which I didn't even understand at all. I didn't know if it was actually a joke or if they were just pulling out some nostalgia of a particular game character. I have no idea. But basically, at the end, a robot went crazy on stage. It's all a skit, of course, and killed some people. And then there was quite a twist at the end. So I was just like, WTF, what was that? So yeah, Devolver Direct Showcase if you want to just waste some of your life just watching the hilarity of that. So anyway, that's all I got for you, folks. Hopefully I didn't take too long. And if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and give me a follow and all that jazz. I'm over at Twitch at Don't Tread on Thee, and then YouTube as Gaming Garbage 22. So hopefully you guys are having a good weekend. If you're working, hang in there. The weekend is freaking coming. And yeah, if you just need a space to hang out and relax and listen or watch some gameplay before you go to bed, you can check us out right here. We're certainly willing to just help you get through your week. It's tough for everybody. So until next time, folks, I'll see you on the next one.